All right, everybody, we have made it. The day is here. It is officially NFL Draft Day. Today is day one of the 2025 NFL Draft. We've been waiting for it for a while now. I think that most of us are at the very least interested, and I'd say most of us are excited. Maybe there are a couple people out there who are a little bit more pessimistic about things, a little bit more you got to prove it to me on the field before I'm going to get really excited about anything. But for the most part, I think that any NFL fan can appreciate a day like today. So let's go over a few things in this video. The main thing I want to go over is what's going to be happening tonight. So the draft starts at 5. I am going to be going live on YouTube, X, and Facebook at about 4:45. So we're going to go live a little bit early. Going to have the opportunity to talk about stuff that we've heard. We're going to have an opportunity to hype ourselves up for whatever's going to happen for the first several teams that pick, because obviously we don't pick for a little bit. But I want to establish exactly what's going to be happening on this channel, and I want to make sure we set proper expectations. So first of all, if you look at the screen right now, this is going to be our day one setup. Okay, so I'm going to be here because this is where I was on screen during the free agency streams, and people seem to like it. So we're going to go with it for now. We can always adjust later. I can make myself a little bit bigger, I guess. It wouldn't be that big of a deal, but I think we're going to go with something like this. If you look to my right, you will see the big board, and this is going to be a running big board. As players get drafted, I will take players off the list, which means it will kind of provide a running best player available list at all times. So throughout the next few days, you will get to see most of the big board just by watching this stream. But the idea is that at any given time, I have my top 20 available players on screen for people to view. So below me, we've got the recent draft action. The idea is throughout the draft, I'm going to have the 2 most recent picks, as well as the team that is currently up to pick on screen. And as teams pick, I'll push stuff off the screen and bring in whatever the latest pick was, and then we'll just keep that going throughout all 3 days. So that way, if you're on stream, you can immediately see what the 2 most recent picks were, as well as whatever team is currently up to pick. And then below that, you see the stuff that we ultimately really care about. At all times, we should be able to see what the Seahawks are doing with their picks. So if you look down below that, you see all of Seattle's picks listed out in terms of the round and positioning of the draft pick. And as the Seahawks use these picks, I will fill out the player, and I'll also offer an initial grade, which may end up not meaning a heck of a lot, but it gives us something to take a look at as we go through this 3-day process. So we're not really going to know what the grades of these picks are for years. So the grade is just an initial snap reaction. So understand that, but it gives us something to do while we're thinking about what's going on with this team and going on with this building of the roster. We have the YouTube view count in the top right corner. Some people might be wondering where the YouTube chat is. I'll tell you, I took the chat off screen during the free agency streams. People liked it. People liked not having the chat on stream, so on screen. So I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it this way for now, and then we'll just kind of see. Maybe I'll find a way to put it back on screen at some point during the stream. But I'll tell you, a lot of people seem to be pretty happy with it not being on screen at any given time. So I guess we'll just leave the chat to the chat, and we're not going to have an on-screen chat for now. And then in the bottom left corner, of course, we have trackers, we have subscribers, we have members, we have super chats, we have tips. I redid the animations, like the GIFs, for subscribers and super chats and tips. So there will be a new animation that plays on screen whenever we get a sub. There will be new animations for super chats and tips. I also and we'll see if this works. I may end up turning this off. I also enabled text to speech. So if you super chat or tip, it should read your super chat message or tip message out loud on stream with text TTS software. And I tested it yesterday. It worked. So it should work during the stream today. If it turns out that people find it annoying, I can turn it off pretty easily. But I'm gonna try something new. I've never done TTS before. I've never done stuff with messages being read out on stream. If people start to find ways to abuse it, if people start to voice in the chat that they find it more annoying and obnoxious than anything else, I can just take it off. No problem. But that is one thing that I'm trying that is different for this stream. So that's basically going to be the setup, and it's going to be all 3 days. So we are focusing on the Seahawks, but we're covering the whole draft. All right, so that being said, let's turn our focus back to what is going on with the state of football first. Before I talk about any draft stuff, I do want to hold on. Excuse me. Yeah, I got to get that over. I'm going to take that overlay off for now. I'll put it back on later. But first thing that I want to address would be Tyler Lockett. Last night, he finally got signed. It was last night. And he got picked up by the Tennessee Titans, a team that has picked up a few former Seahawks in recent years, it feels like. Not exactly a team with a ton of energy behind them going into the 2025 season. Not a team that expects to be great, but it's a team that can certainly give Tyler Lockett some playing time. So congratulations to him. He found a landing place. I think he got like $4 million. And he can go up to like $6 million with incentives is what I heard. So it's not a lot of money, but he wants to keep playing football and he's going to continue to play football for now. So good for him. I did want to go ahead and quickly address that. But the main draft related thing that I think is capturing the minds of Seahawks fans at the moment is this rumor that has been going around since yesterday. According to sources and according to ESPN's NFL draft scout, Matt Miller, the Seahawks have already narrowed their pick at 18 down to 2 players. And the implication I get, this isn't directly stated, I don't think, but the implication I get is that the Seahawks will take one of these 2 players at 18 if the player gets to 18. And if neither player is there at 18, they will trade down. That's the implication. That's what I'm guessing we're getting here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and preface everything I'm about to say with the understanding that anything that gets said or leaked or reported right now could end up being complete misdirection. I've talked about it before. I'll say it again. There's a lot of value in being deceptive and making things up when it comes to what you want and what you're planning on doing in the draft. So there's a very good chance this is either misdirection or somebody just made it up and they're running with it because it gets them clicks and there's no punishment for getting it wrong. But that being said, there is another side to this, and I will say this, just right off the bump. If this ends up being true, if the Seahawks end up picking one of these 2 players with their 18th overall pick tomorrow, then it is a little bit embarrassing that something like this actually got leaked out. So if this is true, this is a problem, okay? This needs to not be true, is what I'm going to say about that. I do not need the NFL, other NFL teams, I do not need the general public knowing what the Seahawks plan to do before the draft even starts. So I'm hoping that this is not true. Now, beyond that, if you actually break down what is specifically said in the report, Tet McMillan and Gray Zabel. I love Tet McMillan. I think Tet McMillan's a beast. I think he's clearly one of the 8 best players or so in this draft. I would love to get him at 18. I can't imagine him being there. I think he's too good. And I know there's been an effort on the part of some people and some teams to tear him down a little bit. I'm not really buying it, and I don't think enough teams are buying it to actually push him down to 18. So that's a pipe dream. Gray Zabel. Um, so that one, there's a few different layers here. The top layer for me though is I just don't think Zabel is worth a first round pick. I think he's worth a middle, maybe even early second round pick, but to my eyes, there are real problems with Gray Zabel. There are some great things too. He has immense potential, but there's some very risky stuff with Gray Zabel going on here. And I never quite got into him the way that a lot of people did. I still view him as a second round player ultimately, maybe back end of the first, but if you are there at 18 and you take Gray Zabel, I'll say this, it's addressing a pretty clear need. It's addressing a position the Seahawks have typically neglected over the last decade plus. It's got tremendous upside. If the dude works out, he's going to be one of the best centers in the league, I think. But at the same time, I got to admit, I think there's something better you can do at 18. Either trade back or take another player. I think there's going to be better options. I just do. So if the pick is Zabel, one, I'm going to be annoyed because it means the leak was true and the stuff like this should not be leaking out. But I'll also be annoyed because I don't think that Zabel's worthy of being the 18th overall pick. I have a very high standard for what constitutes a first round center, and I don't know if Zabel meets that. If he were playing tackle, if he was like a left tackle, it'd be different. Then I'd just be like, okay, just be above average or good, and it's fine. If it's Zabel and he does play center, which I think he will, I need something better than above average or even good. I need like superstar or star. McMillan I wouldn't be upset about because he's a beast and I'd love to have him, so no problems there. But yeah, I'm hoping this isn't true. Also, let me expand on this a little bit more because I don't want this team to be inflexible. I want this team to be willing to let the draft speak to them, and I want them to be I want them to be able to be adaptive, and I want them to be able to look at whatever scenario is being presented to them and to capitalize on whatever that scenario is, even if it's not the scenario you expected. You know, I'll give an example, a famous example for Seahawks fans. The Creed Humphrey D. Eskridge draft, right? There are a handful of different reasons why the Seahawks may have not taken Creed Humphrey in the draft 4 years ago. Some of them are valid, some of them maybe not. But what if, and I'm theorizing here because we can't actually know what the Seahawks were thinking when they made the pick. What if the Seahawks didn't take Creed Humphrey because they thought there was no way he would ever be there at our pick, so they didn't even think about him. So when he was there at their pick, they didn't even mentally process it because it was like, oh, we don't think he's going to be there, so we're not even going to entertain the thought. So when he was there, they were just like, he doesn't exist as far as we're concerned. What if it was that? What if that was why you took Eskridge? Because in your mind, Creed Humphrey being there wasn't even, that was like a fantasy. So what I'm trying to get at there is you weren't adaptive to what was happening. Your pick got there, a player that you maybe didn't expect would be there was there, and instead of being adaptive, and again, I'm constructing a hypothetical. This might not be the reason why we didn't take Creed Humphrey. There are other reasons why we may not have, and maybe those reasons are even fairly legitimate. But what I'm trying to say is, if the Seahawks are there at 18 and Mykel Williams is there, or Will Johnson is there, or you get what I'm saying? These guys that you don't expect to be there, I would hope that John Schneider can unplug from whatever was going on in his head and go, wait a minute, I can get that guy? Okay, I'm changing my plan. That's what I would hope would happen, right? Like when I did the creator mock draft on Bleacher Report a couple days ago, I did not think Mykel Williams would be there, but when he was there, I pounced because I think he is a borderline blue chipper in this draft. I really do. I did not plan for him to be there. I had other plans, and then I got something that I didn't think I was going to get, and I jumped on it. Okay, guys. So that's what I can say about tonight. Maybe there's going to be one more video later today, but for now, I'm going to leave it at that. Peace out, go Hawks. See you guys tonight. Let me know what you think, and go Hawks.